Good afternoon, Oleg. It's 12:30 in the UK, but I suspect you're not in the UK. You are in...
You see, I escaped the lockdown and I'm staying with my family in Moscow, looking forward to go back to West Midlands, But these days, do we care much about the time difference? It's all about Wi-Fi to get connected.
Well, listen, Oleg, is it sunny by the way, is it sunny in Moscow?
Well, ish. Call it sunny, yes,
Well, look, it's the first time, I'm going to be honest with you, that I've interviewed a Russian.
Well, I'm Russian and British, therefore I'm like a ream walker. I'm walking on a ream between those two, connecting people, just making the sea. I could see, I could contribute here, or I could contribute here. That's a big advantage.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, before we get into the subject, it's a fascinating subject. A little bit about you, Oleg. So you're a business educator. You're a consultant to Fortune 500 companies. You're a coach to what we call C-suite executives. You are regarded, and when I checked your CV, you are definitely regarded as a top global thinker in leadership, vision and culture. You're a visiting lecturer at several business schools. You're a speaker at major conferences. And interestingly, you got your doctorate, that's the DBA, the Doctor of Business, at Durham University. So you do know a bit about the UK, and you did mention West Midlands. Now, people might be saying, well, how did I come across you? And I've said this in a couple of other places. I came across you in Clubhouse, and a couple of the people spoke before you spoke and said, listen to this guy, Oleg. He's worth listening to. And I thought, okay. So I did a bit of Googling, and I discovered this fantastic book that you've written. And it's called The Vision, How to Create and Execute a Compelling Vision for Your Business. Interesting, it's called The Vision Code. And I did notice when I read the book that you do make a couple of references to Da Vinci. And if we get time, we might come to that. But what also happened, I was so fascinated by the book that I then did ring you and say, we're about to go to print, but I would love an input from you for the issue number 4 of the Business Influencer. And of course, being as proactive as you are, you did a fantastic job. So it's worth reading around vision. And of course, we're going to go into more detail around the article. So that's you, Oleg. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's nothing about me. You're orchestrating a great thing because you see, knowledge and expertise are the sexiest and the most valuable things that we could share these days. Yeah,
it's it was your thing about visionary leadership and vision, and it's such a misunderstood term. Oh, yeah. And I thought we'll have to try and get to this. So we hear about visionary leaders: Mandela, Henry Ford, Fidel Castro. We hear about Jobs. We hear about Elon Musk. So we hear a lot about visionaries. We hear about strategy. We hear about objectives, tactics, large businesses, small businesses, blue ocean thinking, leadership, mission statements. So you hear all of this and you think, well, this is all a bit confusing. And maybe for the small business owner or the individual, maybe it's something they shouldn't even be thinking about. But of course, you disagree with that. Absolutely. You think every individual, every small business owner, every leader should be thinking about vision. But you made quite a bold statement. You said 0.1% of all leaders, not people, but of all leaders, even have a vision. So I suppose, first question, what does it mean when you say the word vision? And what does it mean to be a visionary?
I'm glad you asked this. And actually, it's not 0.1%. It's less than 0%.
Oh, okay.
I was shocked when I came to this data. I was looking deep in different countries, asking, just discussing those things and sending questionnaires. what happens? People hardly understand what they do. We're brought into this life, which is actually meaningless, and this is our duty to make it meaningful. But how many people could say we're living meaningful life? We're living in a day-to-day tasks, problems. We consider the kings of the problem solving because we love creating problems and solving them, but we don't have vision, and therefore we're not looking for solutions. And you see, vision starts from everyone thinking about to what extent my life is meaningful. What is my highest purpose? And my vision defines my highest purpose. And then we talk about families. There are millions of unhappy families because people just living in a social exchange terms, in a good sense. They're smiling at each other, when they're in public, but then they're just like not happy at all. There are millions of businesses that shouldn't be established from a day one because they're just, we're chasing profit. Okay, but why people should support your business if they don't benefit from it? Vision is our aspiration for a future that we strive to make a reality today. So leadership is about, I'm sure people where they're going to be in that future, how they would benefit from it. And it's not about telling them what to do today. They're smart enough to do daily things. And therefore it's quite often it's a misconception. Mission statement. Vision is a huge multidimensional space in the future that is very practical, very functional. And we are all obliged to make our lives meaningful and therefore create those spaces for others, not only for ourselves. If we're talking in the terms of family, how my wife would benefit from something that we create together. And the same about business. So what would be in it for people? How people would grow? Would they benefit from it? Mission statement is our social impact, positive social impact that we'll have along that journey. But vision is huge. It's so powerful that inspires people. But I never saw anyone inspired by a mission statement. It's just a sign on a wall. Probably you could pay $100 to any blogger who would word craft it or wordsmithing for you, and you will stick it on a wall. People would be entertained while they're waiting for a meeting. Who would be inspired? What I would leave behind me? We could leave vision as a legacy. Can you leave a mission statement as a legacy? No. And that is something people would remember. They're attracted to it. It's a huge energy. In practical terms, it's very multidimensional. It defines new market niches or spaces on that market. Elon Musk would talk about electrical cars. Hey, electrical cars were invented long before Elon Musk. But he created that industry, that market space, where we talk about a new way of mobility, how we service cars, how we understand the movement itself, how about charging stations, not the petrol stations. It's very, very different. So we are defining our evolution, which is important. We will be judged by the next generation, but what we do, what kind of vision we could leave for them, and this would be the artifacts, living artifacts for them.
But could the problem, Oleg, and I've heard you speak somewhere where you said, so I'm speaking about the UK here. UK, you said the UK is driven by finance, that the UK are experts at finance. So could it be that because everything is measured by the balance sheet and the profit and loss account, when you go and see your bank manager, they want to look at your profit and loss account, your balance sheet. When the financial press speak about you, they speak about your balance sheet and your gearing rate. Yeah. Is that why people don't think vision is important? Because their day-to-day is driven by financial metrics, and that's what they live by, And that's when they move on to their next job, or when they sell their business on, they say, look at the financial metrics, look what a wonderful job I've done, and nobody talks about vision. Is that part of the problem? Is how we measure?
Absolutely. We are so short-sighted. We don't look beyond tomorrow. We assume that future is our next financial reporting period, but our future is much greater. I'm not prepared to live until the next financial period. I want to live many years ahead. And that is very, very different. Okay, today report reflects what we have done before, but it's only a reflection of our past. We have a huge problem, which I call the mind lock. We're thinking too much about the past, at the same time we're dreaming about a great future. How comes? You must think about the future. From a financial perspective, think of a simple way. Vision reflects a huge market niche. Therefore, any investor, any bank, any creditor would be looking at you much more enthusiastically at your project, because you're talking about holding a market space rather than promising some kind of a profit or turnover. Because market niche would secure your profit and your good turnover for years to come, as soon as you are really exploiting it in a good sense. But your profit today doesn't guarantee your profit tomorrow if you don't hold that niche. Squeezing people out instead of revealing their greatness.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I'm just taking that further then. So you're asking for self-reflection. You're asking people to predict something in the future. But what happens if you can't touch that vision? You can't,
You can't.
The trouble with vision is, people can't see it. And if people can't see it, is that part of the problem why they can't set a vision?
You can't see because, let's put it in a simple way. When you have a clear understanding what you create, really, you can deliver your message to people in a very simple terms. When you don't understand what you do, you talk a lot. Our communication reflects how structured is our thinking. And that is very interesting, because you could hear people trying to picture some kind of a bright things around you, but they're not real. Vision stands on the 6 firm criteria. Stimulus. What's value in your vision for people? And people, as soon as people respond to it immediately, that means it's excellent for them. They really need this. It's not something you're pushing. You're just showing people saying, yes, I need it. It's about scale, because you could grow it because of adding value, not bashing through the doors, and expanding your geographical presence. It's about people saying, yes, we need that. We chatted, and somebody from Middle East called you and said, can I contribute to your magazine? Because people really see the value of your magazine. And therefore, they're willing to contribute to it. And they're willing to read it, of course. It's about spotlight, because when I see there's something valuable, and again, every investor, every shareholder, every stakeholder could feel this, I'm putting my skin in the game, and my team puts their skin in the game. It's about being grounded, because it's about scanning how relevant it's for the people needs and what should be done in terms of cover people pain, solve problems, and expand something for a greatness of people. Simplicity, as I mentioned, it's elegant thinking about complicated things. If I can't deliver my message about my vision in a simple words, in a short message, that means I don't have it. I have a mess in my head. And of course, it's about passion, because people see inspiration. Inspiration, that means I show people you can do it. It's nothing about motivation, because we're all motivated to go to a gym, but hardly, not all of us, do this. So when you fix those elements, and I have a special, in my book, I have a special vision viability test with 18 questions. People could see immediately, hey, it's real, because we almost could feel it, touch it. Because it's not just a promise, it's a real space.
So in an organization, a small one or two people, it's obvious who's responsible for it. But as the organization gets bigger and bigger, I sit on a couple of boards where we look after the governance side. So who owns that vision? Is it the founder, the entrepreneur? Is it the entire organization? Who actually conjures up the vision? Who comes up with that? Whose responsibility is it to come up with the vision for the organization?
I love the question because, for instance, the founder or CEO comes with the idea for the vision, but for a vision to become a real vision, it must be made from your sole property, a collective property where everyone could contribute. You must make people the co-owners of vision. No one is interested in your personal vision because it sounds like your personal ambitions. But if everyone feels being the co-owner of vision, they will contribute to it. They will commit themselves. So, and also it's important to remember that vision is so big, it's greater than you or me, it's greater than an organization. So everyone in an organization feel immediately that they do something very important. They do something beyond themselves. And therefore, they would be prepared to sacrifice the best of their abilities, the best of their knowledge, the best of their energy. That impacts organizational performance tremendously. We were calculating with my clients return on investment on vision leadership coaching. And it's on average about 3,000 times because organizations performs immediately like skyrocketing. It's real. It's very, very real because everyone supports it. I brought in my book, for instance, I talked to 19 brilliant visionaries from across the globe, US, Canada, India, Nigeria.
I did notice that, some real great people in there.
Phenomenal people. Gary Rich, he is the chairman and CEO of WD-40 company. You know, this famous sprays.
Yeah, very famous.
Formula One, NASA, all garages will use that WD-40. You know, they have a very strong vision to make a positive, lasting difference for people. And the employees' engagement rate is the highest in the world, 96%.
Wow.
96%.
Wow.
You know, average engagement rate in the UK is about 17 or 19%. Can you see that difference?
Yeah.
If not 17 people out of 100, but 96 people out of 100 contribute themselves fully, you could imagine their performance rate. And their capitalization today is $2.7 billion on a single product.
But okay, so if I just drill into that, so you say 97% of people have bought into the vision, but who drew the vision up? Because I know you said everybody needs to own it.
Leaders.
Who's the architect behind the vision? Who's the architect?
Leaders. And so, for instance, I initiate, I'm saying as CEO, guys, we need a vision to go beyond those annual reports. And so we think together how we can contribute, because it starts from our aspirations. We're looking the greatest problem that we could solve and why it would be valuable for people. It's not a single 1 month solution. When I was working on my book, yes, I talked to these 19 people. I have talked to much more people. Believe me, they're just others not in the book, but I'm still appreciate them. I have run it and beta testing, final testing, then working with my clients. So I could say all of those people contributed to my vision.
You talk about
me.
Yeah, you talk about that you can't have consensus management when it comes to doing a vision. It needs to be driven by someone. And it's very clever distinction you make between communication and sharing There's a distinction between, it's very clever that was, and I didn't realize there's a difference till I read it. So first thing, the rationale behind it not being consensus driven, and then perhaps if you then move on to the difference between communication and sharing.
I will start from a very different angle, if you would allow me in there, please.
Absolutely.
I was running just like a little side research for myself. I was trying to realize how much time is wasted by a medium-sized company annually on a meaningless meetings when people are looking for consensus just because they don't know where they go. Just those meetings cost a medium-sized company between $6 to $10 million per annum, right? Say £5 million plus, right? Wasted. And they are still not good at finding the right direction where they go, because everyone trying to say, hey, we should go that way. No, you're wrong. So it's nothing about consensus. Leadership, I know where to lead people. Therefore, I have a role of a leader. I don't have a role of a pleaser to say, what's your opinion? Should we go left or should we go right? Should we stop for today? No, I'm leading you into that bright future. This is my obligation. This is my duty. If I don't know where I go, I'm looking for consensus. More or less, you are in the middle of nowhere, you lost your compass, you don't have a map, and you are looking for bypasses to ask them, am I on the right track? They don't know where you go. They would not tell you. And that is quite serious issue in many companies. They're saying, we should please those people. No, you would please people better if you would clearly show them where to go, because that sets a very different serious issue. To enable people to make the strong, real, good decisions, you must make them free. I would make people free by showing them where to go. I'm giving them a corridor, or I'm signing them a carte blanche check, and they know that they should do everything towards this direction. Otherwise, they would be lost.
And if they disagree?
More or less, if you have a clear understanding where you go, people are good at accepting it. Very good. Because all those things are supported by values, and people are good at supporting values. If somebody don't agree, sorry, I can't please everyone. I'm not a pleaser. Because if somebody wants to stop and not working or sabotaging, nothing with me.
So that suggests, I've got to be really careful with my words here. I'm not suggesting a dictatorial style of management, but it's certainly a lot more directional. It's firm and it's clear. This is where we're going. Jump on the journey. If you don't like the journey we're going on, step off it and go do something else. But that is our clear vision, journey going forward. That's where we're going. Jump on board. Now, you're nodding, so I'm assuming that's right. So my next bit is the bit that's going to be really interesting then is how you communicate that journey. And you talk about a difference between communicating that journey and sharing that journey, which is quite interesting. And one of your, I can't remember, it was one of your writers made that distinction. Perhaps you could repeat what the distinction is between communicating a vision and a journey and sharing one.
It was a fascinating moment for myself when I was exploring this part, because we all talk communicating vision, sharing vision, just like we talk we assign as the same meaning, in fact. And just should be something different. I dig deeper. And what I realized, we communicate facts and information, but we share stories and emotions. So, in simple terms, communication hits our conscious mind. Sharing hits our souls and unconscious mind. This is where we need both. You see, you just mentioned, yes, it's not about consensus. It's not about pleasing people. It's not about preaching to people and saying, yeah, please join. Nothing like that. Look, I came from the fishing industry background. Can you imagine passengers on board of a fishing trawler? No. It's about, hey, we're all working hard to get back home with a catch, sell it, and benefit from it. The same. I'm communicating, guys, we're going at sea. It would be tough, but we need to go and catch so much fish and do. So it would be tough, but I will support you every moment, and you feel satisfied on return back. Your family would be waiting for you on a quay, and that would be very different. So you communicate both, you with both. People love to be, you see, when we communicate statistics, what happens in corporations? They communicate bottom lines. We made a profit. Have you ever saw, Ninder, anyone touched by those reports? No, right?
Unless you're a shareholder.
Oh, yeah. Again, it's a question of the annual meeting, what you will get out of it.
Yeah.
But we'll love to hear stories. But what we love more, we want to be a part of that story. It's like watching a great movie and saying, I want to be that hero. That is about making people a part of that story. You're saying, hey, you are co-owner of that vision. Join. You are a part of that story.
So picking that up then, if I take two things then, one is the ability to share a story. If you combine that with a clear vision and leadership style, then some people's names immediately start to spring. Jobs, every time he used to release a mobile phone, he would remind people of the journey. Bezos, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, same thing. Elon Musk, same thing. So the question is this a preserve of only leaders with charisma? Because they have the ability to do both, which is the ability to lead and tell a story. Does that mean charisma is an essential element?
I don't think I was born charismatic. Probably I was born a troublemaker, but not charismatic, and we all have different visionary traits within us.
Yep.
And it's a matter, if you're focused, you start getting signals, you start getting responses. But I brought in my book 15 visionary traits.
Yeah.
For instance, if you love talking about problems, you will be facing only problems. But if you think about solutions, you will find solutions. All of these great visionaries, they created solutions. And this is what we admire and, respect in a good sense. We could communicate, our mind becomes very structured. And therefore, we communicate and share our vision in a very simple, very structured way. And we don't need long speeches. It's a short messages and people think, yes, I'm in. It's immediately for them because, think how much Tesla spends on marketing and advertisement. Next to nothing. Because Elon Musk says, hey guys, we have gone through that journey and we created, this is for you. And they're showing a model. Next day, it's a new bestseller in the car industry, And that is about because you are not a victim of change. You are a storm yourself. You are leading that change. So all those traits are absolutely feasible. They are absolutely possible to nurture and create.
Can you teach someone to be visionary? Can it be taught?
That's what I do. I do this C-suite coaching, right? And I help people, and I have a course, Oleg Konovalov Visionary Leadership course. I train people to get this. And what I'm saying, I promise a complete mind shift. Those people start thinking differently. They become exceptionally productive. And the thing is, I am blessed because, in fact, I'm learning from all of these people, from all of my participants and clients in a great way because they're becoming tremendous leaders. Tremendous. And I could see how they are people become really inspired. It's tremendous. You must see this.
So if it can be taught, and there's a school of thought that you can teach people to become leaders, so you can teach them to become leaders, you can teach them to become better visionaries. Tell me, is that across the board, irrespective of gender, irrespective of ethnicity? Do those things come in, or what you've just said, is that translatable? And do certain genders make better visionary leaders?
No, vision doesn't have gender, age, nationality, even, or you don't need to have a master's degree, a doctoral degree. It's a matter as soon as you focus towards. If the only thing I'm always looking when engaging with people, getting into the contract, I'm trying to fathom, because we all have ego. That's okay, we're humans. To what extent? Because ego kills vision instantly. You don't see people, you don't see the world around you. You're not looking for solutions for others. You're only looking everything for me. And that is a greatest killer. I can't do much about this. But as soon as I could see that people are okay with that, miracle happens. But it's not miracle. That was the toughest aim of this project, to turn vision into a practical business tool. Even people could read it, and I'm getting messages from across the globe almost every day from different countries. People said, look, I got your book. Can you answer this? Yes, good. And I'm responding, and people saying, hey, I improved tremendously. I trained people and coached people from more than 20 countries. Japan, Malaysia, India, Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, UK, Ireland, Brazil, USA, Canada, Australia. And these people are staying now together. We even have like a cohort of people they collaborating, because it's very different mindset and it's trained. We're all great with this.
So let me just drill that in further then. So I'm trying to work out, so you've just said vision isn't dictated by background, isn't dictated by education, no, isn't dictated by gender, age, or ethnicity.
No.
So what does make those very few people visionaries and the rest of us mortals not? Now, in the book you mentioned, and if you could elaborate, you said we all have the same hours in a day, but some are brilliant visionaries, others not. And you put it down to, it's quite extraordinary, you put it down to energy.
Yeah.
So can you explain, how does energy differentiate a visionary and a non-visionary?
Can you measure value of something in terms of minutes or seconds? No. But we create something valuable by putting a certain energy and effort in creation of it. The same about our lives, the same about how much I have focused on something very important for me. Vision is the second greatest asset after the life itself. So if I'm focusing myself, I'm putting my energy into it, regardless how much time I have, it grows. And I grow with it. All right? But if I'm thinking, okay, I will do it from, I don't know, from 10 to 11 in the morning, it becomes more of a routine, and I tend to forget about it. Can you measure friendship or love in terms of, or customer satisfaction in terms of time? No, it's about effort. Effort is energy. Vision is energy that we get from the future and it's projected into today. That means it should be measured with the energy we contribute to it. It's not about watching at your, at your time calendar and things like that. It's about how much I'm prepared to commit myself, because it's about commitment. It's about really feeling responsible that I must do it in quality. Energy is a quality. Time is quantity. Can we create something incredible with quantity? No. It's about quality. And that would make you quality thinking. It's about the quality outcome. And actually, very interesting point, because we hardly talk about metrics of leadership. But leadership is judged by the people expectations against your promises. If you promise people, I will spend 5 hours a day being a leader, well, okay, good, but who would care? But if you promise people a difference in that tomorrow or in the future, you will be judged against this. And that people's energy as well.
So that's how you measure vision then. Because I was going to say, how do you measure it? Because it's so far in the distance, such a big picture thing.
And therefore, you must grow for it to produce more energy, to be really focused. You're becoming an energy bank.
And how do you know, back to my earlier point about getting people on board, how do you know your vision is a good one? How do you know it's not a bad vision? How do you know, what are the ingredients to make a vision a really realistic and achievable one?
What's in your vision for people? That would be the very first question. Okay, and people saying, oh, they would live happy in a happy life or something like that. Why people should respond immediately to your vision is like a second question, because it's nothing about you. It's about people perceptions. They would know they really need it. Therefore, when you create vision, you should go out and talk to people, listen to them. This is where we are not very strong these days. We believe they will send some kind of a questionnaire out and people tick the boxes and everything sorted. No, go out, listen to people, what their expectations, how important it for them. And if you could see it's really valuable for them, you could see you're not creating another problem, but you're really creating a solution that is real. And as I mentioned, you have those 6 criteria to meet. That also is important.
Now, you talk about visionaries have energy, they have a story to tell, they're persuasive, they don't see restraints, they only see positivity. So let me give you an example of a brand, and maybe you can tell me what went wrong there. So let me tell you a brand that I loved. I thought it was the most magical brand. And it was called a BlackBerry, the phone BlackBerry. And you know, I'm going to be honest with you, I cannot remember what their vision was, but all I remember, the product was superb. And you do talk about in the book about where organizations go wrong. So where did they go wrong? Where did their vision, which put them on the I mean, they had world dominance. This Canadian company was just everywhere, and it was such a fantastic product. So they obviously had the right vision to start with. What went wrong that they ended up being not just, well, completely swamped? I mean, they're nowhere to be seen now.
This is back to the point we discussed, listening. You must listen to the world. You must be grounded. You must scan the things, what's going on around you. And this is where many large corporations are failing, because they believe that they will survive because of their inertia. They will survive because world should accept them for granted. No, it doesn't work. You must be relevant. We're living at the time of the highest pace of change the humanity ever faced. And therefore, you must scan environment every day. But this is where companies hardly talk to people. They even hardly talk within themselves about what's going on. And therefore, their vision becomes non-relevant for people. And so their vision dies. They're too much into comfort zone. Comfort zone kills everything instantly. It's like a swamp. It sucks you in and you're dead.
I
You
have
must revise it all the time, your vision, in terms of being relevant and see more opportunities and grow even bigger.
I completely agree with you, because my first business was a record company, and we didn't scan. We didn't scan at all, and we never saw the digital revolution coming, and we got swamped by it. We still thought CDs, vinyls, and cassettes were the way forward. We just didn't see. We didn't do enough scanning. We didn't do enough future thinking, and we got swamped, completely swamped. And whilst we slowly made the transition to digital, it was painful, very painful. Unfortunately, people like BlackBerry were just not able to make that transition. So what you're saying is you should always be continuing to revisit your vision. Is that what you're saying?
I should always go through uncertainty, because uncertainty demands me being on the toes, be on alert, and be really relevant. When I'm in comfort zone, I'm thinking, oh, things would happen in a good way. I'm not bothered. Who could, who cares? Always fine with still having nice paychecks. Done. You're not relevant tomorrow. No one is interested in you.
So just picking that up, you've actually forwarded one of the questions I was going to ask you. So where does a vision sit in an environment of high uncertainty? So an example is nobody saw COVID coming. Nobody saw COVID coming. COVID has disrupted a number of very comfortable models that people, particularly on retail, perhaps. Yeah. So where does your vision go when you don't see something as dramatic and unforeseen as that? And of course, how do you tackle an uncertain future? So where does vision sit amongst that?
Vision is the most certain thing in the world of uncertainty. Our life is uncertainty, right? COVID hit. Okay. But if your vision is real, strong, and compelling, and it's built around creating value for people, whatever what happens, you will stay relevant. Because all the companies who were providing a valuable services or products, they're still okay. They're still all right. And it's a good filtering year to cut off or chop out those companies which were not relevant or not valuable for the market, so for people. They're gone first. I had a great conversation with one of the largest IT providers in the world. And they said, look, we quickly learned that politics would ruin us. We need a real vision that will take us through all the challenges. Because vision is the most certain thing.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting flip. In a period of uncertainty, vision actually is the most certain thing you can be certain about. That's what you're saying.
Because yes, vision is based on the value. Vision comes when your conscious awareness of a problem you want to solve for the benefit of others reaches its peak. So you are solving something very critical for people, regardless of challenges.
So now let me throw something at you. So you make a point, I think somewhere in the book somewhere, that politicians are not visionaries.
Most cases, no.
Yeah, and of course, one of the the phrases they love to use is, we are here, I am here to serve you. So there's an element of servant leadership. In other words, I'll do what's right for you. Whilst at the same time, so they're setting this vision that I'm here to serve you. But your contention is they're not visionaries. Perhaps you can reconcile the two.
They're good at promises. But you see, vision is a responsibility. When did you saw the last politician who accepted responsibility for misconduct or for not delivering promises? Have you heard any clear promise that, guys, we will be living better and not throwing excuses at you? Very hard. I know Arab Emirates are good at this now. They're doing very well. Saudi Arabia, picking up. Singapore, doing great. But the rest is quite murky. Murky promises, murky expectations, no responsibility, only promises, empty promises.
And where does servant leadership sit in all of this vision formulation and directive management, where you're very clear?
When I'm serving, I'm taking responsibility for the people I serve. Think of a family business. You are a servant of your wife is a servant of you, but where you feel responsible for what you do.
Interesting. Before we go on to your model called the caviar, which I'm not surprised because you're Russian.
Because I'm probably from the fishing industry, it's also about caviar, but it's still delicious.
So a couple of things I want to pick up, and then we'll tackle about the caviar. So, how specific should a vision be? So I'm going to give you some examples. As an individual, I want to be rich. As an individual, I want to be successful. As a business, my vision might be, I want to be the number one brand in the world. How specific or wide should a vision be?
Ninder,
I mean, those are some examples.
I'm really happy for you being a billionaire, but do I care?
I like that.
No, I would be really, Ninder, bravo, what's in it for me? Nothing. So when we talk specifically, and this is one of the most common requests, we want to create a $1 billion company. Cool.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Again, it's a bottom line.
Yeah.
What's in it for people? What kind of a value you create? And that differentiates that. Because when you're driven by your personal ambitions or by your ego doesn't attract anyone. That is your ambitions. What's in it for people? Can you be happy on your own in a family business? No, that means you're purely exploiting your ego at the cost of somebody else. And when we talk specifically, when we create vision, and why vision is always supported in a good way, because people see the value for themselves. But when you say, I want to be a millionaire, billionaire, doesn't matter, I want to be number one in the world, that's your worry or your aim, your desire. But what's in it for people? But if I'm saying, okay, I want to completely, or not completely, maybe to explore that and make the field of vision accessible to as many businesses as possible across the globe, people see the value for themselves. And then they will define whether I am number one or number two or number 10 in the world. Who cares?
I think that was very poignant, actually. So the process, let's look at the process, and we will finish with the caveat. Now, you say one of the benefits, which is really good, you say one of the benefits of spending time on thinking about your vision is that invariably you look at it more positively than negatively. So what a vision does, it tends to bring out the positive elements. Is that right? Or can a vision bring out negativity because you don't think you know where you're going?
Okay, let's put it in a bit of a logical way. Most of the people are really afraid of the future. You know, I can't tell you precisely, but it's almost 100% of people are really afraid of their future. And fear or negativity is the easiest thing to sell. And futurists, they are adding even more dark colors into it. AI would kill us, and people saying, yeah, we'll pay for that speech. You know, it will kill you tomorrow. Oh, we will add more money. We'll pay even more. Give us more, you know. Negativity fits only that negative mode of thinking. If we talk about creating something really positive, you can't talk to the positive future using your negative language of the past. I have bad experiences. Yes, I have. And what? I'm still fighting to create something great and brilliant and positive. I want people to smile, really be satisfied. I can't promise that I will make everyone happy. But hey, that's a difference. Be positive, because when you're positive, you're really looking for solutions. When you're negative, every raindrop adds you tears. You're just like, oh, we have another heavy rain. Come on, it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. UK is rainy. We know that.
Well, okay. So finally, that's interesting. That is, it's you're right. I think we tend to be handcuffed by our past.
Absolutely.
And that tends to affect the way we see the future, because that's when people say it can't be done because this happened in the past. This can't be done because that happened in the past. So it can impair people's thinking.
I will give you a simple example. I was brought up in the Soviet Union. It's a very uniformed and very not bright place, right? Then I moved to the UK ages ago, and I gone from being a second engineer on a fishing tool to a CEO position. So, and I gone then into consulting, this thought leadership, this youth coaching. So I define myself the way I want and who I'm going to be. And if I would be looking only backwards into my negative experience of the past, would I reach it? No. Would I offer some kind of a good solution for people? No. I would be only sharing some kind of a negative stories around. No passion, no positive emotions. There are difference between people. Some people are wiping tears even if they're going through the bad experience and they're moving forward. And some people swallow tears. They keep swallowing those tears and again and again and again because they're looking too much into the past.
Yeah, the past does hamper things. So looking forwards then, in terms of using a vision as a business tool, you come up with caviar, and you talk about clarity of creation.
Yeah.
You talk about ability. Is this the ability of the person to put it together?
Ability. Vision is greater than you or me, or greater than us. So I must be really capable of leading it. Therefore, I must grow in terms of bold thinking, in terms of learning, real learning, listening to people. So it's a number of factors. It's no one is perfect, but it's still about being better. So inner excellence. It's about confidence and credibility. We are often crossed between confidence and overconfidence. Confidence when I know that I deliver my promises to people and to myself. Overconfidence is just like, we will do it. And then we don't know at what cost. And we're killing people, we are proud by the floods of sweat, but no result. It's not a confidence, it's overconfidence.
So that's around leadership traits. Then you talk about viability. In other words, is the vision viable? Is that right? Is it achievable?
Yeah, executable, practical, and people see the value in it. Yes, it's a test.
And then you talk about influence. What do you mean by influence?
I must spread as wide as possible the influence of my vision to make others the co-owners of it who will contribute to it. Therefore,
And
I
I think,
wouldn't be standing alone and waiting for a miracle.
okay, and yeah, a lot of people do wait for the phone to ring for sales. Then, yeah, you're up to it. And what about acting? You say acting is part of the.
Acting or executing, it's about what to focus on. Corporate culture, because you must envision culture from a day one, because you are developing people, you're helping people to grow. In fact, culture is a productive interaction wrapped into a vision. And then people really work together. And therefore, they're becoming exceptionally effective, productive in collaboration. It's about focus and will, because if you are not focused, if your team not focused, you're lost. You will not reach or achieve your vision. No chance. It's about decision making and enabled decision making. It's about really strong inner communication. So it's a number of factors. And of course, you're probably coming to the last R, revitalizing, because you climb higher, you see further, you see the opportunities, you must revitalize your vision, you must reshape it, you must give it all the new energy again and again and again to keep it growing. Otherwise, you will end up in your comfort zone, as we discussed, and it will die.
Interesting. Your book finishes with 15 commandments of visionaries. So these are the things you need. So it starts with a brilliant quote. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And that's Winston Churchill. And then you, well, anyway, I'm going to pick some of the commandments, just some of them we're going to finish off. You talk about that visionary is at peace with change. So back to what we were talking about change. A visionary is not someone scared of a storm. I loved your analogy somewhere where you read about if it's cold, you can't defeat the cold because that's cold. It's knowing how to cope with the cold and understanding how to look at solutions rather than looking at the problem.
Because you're becoming the center of that storm and you're leading this storm. Because if you look at uncertainty, if you look at change and you're afraid of it, because it's everywhere around, don't fight it. Lead
it. You talk about visionaries should be pushing other people up, helping them to realize, and make sure you surround with good people. I tell you what was interesting. You said visionaries are not just prepared to fail, they're willing to start again. They are patient and persistent. And you said, point number 10, they love what they do, and their love is not troubled because of difficulties. And we spoke about it before. I think it's a great line. Visionaries manage their energy, not their time.
Exactly.
And we spoke about that. And you've also spoken about visionaries are big on simplicity and clarity. We talked about communicating and sharing and how you get that across. You talk about visionaries develop their inner senses to the highest level. Instinct, gut comes into it.
We are humans. We got gut feeling as our inner gyro compass that shows us direction when we don't have clear signals or actual data. And therefore, it makes us humans with superpowers.
You then say a couple of really great points. Visionaries make themselves open systems, so they're open to ideas. They're open to people to say things to them. They're not closed. And then I thought what was brilliant on 162, a visionary and a futurist.
Oh, yeah.
Two different people. I thought that was a fantastic comment. A visionary will tell you the young people of the world should have skills and motivation to be able to solve any problem, that's not what a futurist tells you. Futurist just tells you what the problem is going to be. Is that right?
Yes. And that is very much popular these days because to be a futurist, you don't need to think much. You must draft some kind of a picture that people would be afraid of, and you're not taking any responsibility. You do nothing. Visionaries saying, okay, if it's going to be a problem, we'll find or we'll create a solution for it. And they will make it real, that solution.
Final comment you say, which is really good, and I think I sort of hinted that earlier. What makes visionaries different? And you say they are disciplined in fulfilling promises to themselves and to others. They focus on a vision, not on themselves. They don't make empty promises like going to a gym. So, Oleg, we've spoken about a lot of stuff. We've spoken about leadership, problem solving, energy, positivity. And this book is a must read. And I must admit, it's been brilliant speaking to you for an hour. There was a lot more we could have done. And I'm sure at some point I'm going to call you in to talk about culture, how an organization looks after culture. I'm not sure whether I should now go and lie down in a dark room, switch all the lights off, and think about all these things you've said. But actually, what I really want to do is I feel really energized. I feel I want to think big picture. I want to think solutions, not problems. It's been a brilliant hour spent with you, and it's not cost me a penny because most people would probably pay for that. So thank you for the great article that you put in the Business Influence. I'm hopefully looking forward to some more contributions. And for those of you who haven't bought it, the vision code, compelling vision for your business. And really, it could be for anybody, whether you're in business or not. But certainly if you are in business, it can be if you're a one-man band or run something in the FTSE 100. It really is a compelling read. Oleg, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ninder. Thank you.
I'm off to go and have a cup of tea, and no, I won't be lying down. I'll be approaching the afternoon with incredible vigor and with incredible energy, and I won't see any restraints or any negativity. All I see is a positive future despite COVID. And 2021 looks great, and 2022 is going to be better. Oleg, thank you very much, and I look forward to catching up with you soon again. Thank you.
Thank you.